Hello, friends. Welcome to EduTalk. So, in this series with no, in this series of interview with toppers, today I have with me Rishita Reddy. She's from Nizamabad, and she's the first IITian I'm interviewing this season. She's a civil engineer from IIT Bombay. This was her major in IIT Bombay, that is civil engineering. But at the same time, she has also studied some interesting subjects in her minor, that is humanities and social science. And as per her, though it though the name suggests humanities and social science, but it was full of a lot of subjects related to economics and finance, and that is where she developed some interest for economics and finance, and that is why she is in RBI now. One very interesting fact regarding her is that she has got 72 out of 75 in the RBI interview which was conducted. So I think that is the highest what I know till now, but we are never sure. Maybe somebody has got 73 or 74 or 75. But I know one person more, Aniket, who has again got 72. So this might be the highest. And she has a very interesting profile, lot of things. It's just like she's a doer rather than just a thinker and not doing anything. She has done a lot of things. So I think I will ask Rishita herself to just give a brief about her journey, what she has done during all this period after graduating. Rishita,
Yeah,
over to you.
hi Anchit. Uh, right after graduation, I worked with Paytm Payments Bank as an associate product manager for 10 months, where I worked on debit card product and launched it to market. And after 2-3 months of launching it to market and settling it down, uh, I I thought, okay, I'll start preparing for UPSC civil services due to like many reasons. I've given two prelims and I could not clear prelims in the last 2 years, and I gave one RBI attempt before this, that is 2019. I could not clear prelims in 2019, prelims of RBI in 2019 also. Fortunately, I could clear all the phases of RBI Grade B examination this year, and I'm actually very thankful to people, family, and friends who were with me in that phase in the past 2 years when my confidence levels completely stooped to a record low in my life. Yeah, that is it. And I'd like to mention that during my work at Paytm Payments Bank, I've cleared CFA level 1 examination. I think that helped while preparing for RBI, even in be it phase 2 or be it an interview. Yeah, that is it about me.
So you can see, I mean, IIT Bombay graduate, then during her graduation itself, she was studying economics and finance. She did CFA level 1 while she was working in Paytm, when most of us struggle, I mean, to cope up with our jobs because we find them very hectic. And I think one thing which you told me during our prior discussion, she has also done her intern with ISB, right?
Yeah.
So that was also during her graduation. This was optional. This was not mandatory, but as I said, she had a lot of interest in economics and finance. So she opted for an intern with ISB, and I'm not sure, but I hope this must not have also been easy. I mean, the selection process to do intern with ISB.
Yeah, there were, I don't remember any interviews that were being conducted. I think it was a resume based
Hmm.
selection. By that time, I have done a couple of courses in economics and finance. I think that provided the edge, for me to get into an internship at ISB.
Yes, yes. So you can see a lot of things happening there and a lot of failures also. So Rishita, my first question is, IIT graduate, CFA level 1, working in Paytm, then leaving the job. It must have been a high paying job. Going for UPSC, 2 years, two prelims, gone. RBI prelims, then we think like, no, if not UPSC, let's go for RBI. And we are like, UPSC nahi to RBI to ho hi jayega. And then
Mm.
RBI prelims itself out. So as you
Yes.
said, your confidence were at record low levels at that time. What were you going through in your mind? I mean, was it really frustrating at some point in time? And how did you overcome that?
I would honestly say that it was completely frustrating. And I did not understand why this was happening at first. And because like there was not very much experience, because I was also doing it for the first time, UPSC and
Hmm.
everything.
Hmm.
And I did not know many people who have actually gone through all this before me. so that I can actually properly interact with them. I could find a few people, yeah, but even like people who are coming to UPSC, they have very diverse backgrounds. Even if you have same graduation, etc., you don't know, because it all depends on your personal atmosphere. Also, everybody's personal atmosphere is completely different. So it is, I think, very difficult to find people who understand what you're going through at that particular point of time. Academically, okay, people can understand, they can suggest you, okay, academically you can do this, that. But again, when it comes to the personal things, I think you are the only person who have complete information to understand what is going on and act, or decide and think on it, and uh, think think on what is happening, and prepare a strategy or understand what to do in order to make this better. So fortunately, like I am very close to my family, where I share like completely random things which you wouldn't even think of. Because of that, I developed a bond, especially with my mom. I think she was the first person who uh, told me about RBI Grade B exam. More than me, she watched the videos of previous year's toppers. Okay, you have to do this. There are people. She motivated me actually. There are people who couldn't clear two prelims or who couldn't clear RBI prelims, but they have made it through. Like, she was my complete top motivator, I can say, in my personal sphere. Again, like, there are some friends who actually gave a lot of time for me to basically, to understand, at least try to understand what I'm going through. I think that effort actually, motivated me a lot, even like to get that kind of effort and a time from the people who are actually busy in their lives too. I felt that, okay, I can do more. I can do more. There are these people. I got that confidence, if I mess up anything, if I even if I don't clear films in the coming 4 5 years, be it RBI or UPSC or any other examination, like these people around me, they gave me confidence that I can, go ahead in my career in a very go ahead in the career and get settled in a very good way. They have more confidence in me than I had, because, like, as I told you in the session before, there was no quantitative measure of what I was doing for that past 2.5 years. There was no result. So yeah, I think these were the people who reminded me that, you can do it, and you have that capacity to do it, and etc. And I'm grateful, really grateful for them.
I mean, that is where I mean, really, we are blessed to have parents and brothers and sisters who are always with us
Yeah.
in times of need. My
And I
next,
think I would also like to mention that, I told you my confidence levels completely stooped. And then I started giving many exams, many competitive exams. And my brother was the one who accompanied me to every exam. Like, he used to wake me up. This is the time. Let's just go. Yeah. Half of the effort was this on the exam day, making, like, keeping me calm, and whatever it was, the external environment, he did not commit to reach it to me, especially on the day of exam.
exactly. My next question, Rishita, is, so I know that, I mean, RBI was your alternate option once you have, maybe had a feeling that UPSC is not that easy, or maybe you're not on the right track to clear UPSC. But how did you come to know about RBI? Was it through some forum, YouTube, or your friends?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, my mom is the one, who is always on YouTube, and she got to know first about RBI examination. She persuaded me to apply for it. She only told that, this year the pattern is changing. Actually, more than from the notification, the first information that I got to know was from my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is
Yeah,
there
bit
anybody from the
different, I
family?
know.
Is there anybody from the family working there? I mean, how can your mother be so much interested in RBI? Normally, people don't know about RBI. That it's such a
Yeah.
good institution.
She started watching UPSC interviews of toppers, etc. And I think she might have got it in the suggestions or
Okay. Okay.
anything, and she followed up on that. She actually told me about SSC CGL examination. I was like, okay, I came here to crack UPSC CSC. I'll just do that. I was not very active on YouTube, etc. I did not follow. in much. So she was the one who told me about all the other different examinations. I gave IB, I gave like I was like, okay, CAT and UPSC, these are the two exams I know. All the others was from her.
And one more thing which we have not discussed in her introduction is that Rishita also appeared for CAT, right? I think which was held in November last year, right?
Yeah.
And by the time she gave the interview, she has not converted any of the calls, so she had got some calls. But after her RBI interview, she came to know that she has got selected in IIM Bangalore. So she,
No, my interview was on 23rd August, but like I started my MBA in July 1st. I was actually
okay,
waiting for both of these results. I thought they will come at the same
okay.
time.
So she might be aware, but the point I'm trying to make is that she had cracked IIM Bangalore in this timeline when she were completing the process for RBI, and she had joined also in July this year, but now she has dropped out. I mean, she has decided to join RBI, so that's the stature of RBI. So Rishita, again, it must have been very difficult when you are into an elite institution like IIM Bangalore just for 3 months, and suddenly you get another dream job like RBI Grade B
Yeah.
officer. So it's really difficult to decide where to go, what to do now. I mean, many a times you are in dilemma. I mean, that even God cannot solve.
Hmm.
So were you in dilemma at that time when you
Yes.
had both the options? And then how did you decide upon? I mean, what were the factors you considered and finally decided that no, RBI is my destination and let me drop out?
Mhm. Definitely, like both of these were like, okay, both of these have a very prospective, very good prospective career ahead. So the main things which I focused on was, okay, like I actually weighed down the options.
Hmm.
I'm joining RBI.
Hmm.
So I have interacted with some of the people who are in RBI currently, and also some others who actually know about competitive exams of these kind a lot.
Hmm.
So then I got to know that, okay, after 5 years into the service of the in the at the organization,
Hmm.
you can try for a scholarship, or you can go abroad and do an MBA. And
Hmm.
that was one of the factors which I considered.
Hmm.
And again, RBI, I cleared it this year. I don't know if I'll be able to clear it next year. Again, the external factors are very uncertain, and it depends. Like there are many people who have missed out by very as less as 0.25 marks this year.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, for in the future going forward, I have an option to do an MBA if I want to in future. So even if I join RBI, there is a chance of doing an MBA again. Like if I continue at IIM Bangalore, like, again, like I would say that past 3 months, like a very insightful experience. I've got to learn a lot of things,
Hmm.
and many things which I have used in the interview on 23rd August. Like many of the learnings are from IIM Bangalore, like because of the presentations that we had to give. I have actually reduced the presentation, phobia,
Hmm.
little bit of phobia, etc. So again, so I thought, okay, if I leave RBI for IIM Bangalore at this point of time, it will be difficult to prepare for RBI again if I want to. So
Hmm.
I thought, okay, I'll not. If I want to do an MBA, I can do it. If I have that interest, if I have that commitment, I should be able to do it in after 4 years, 4 years down the line, 4 or 5 years.
MBA can wait, and RBI is no very. It's, I mean, getting an RBI job in RBI as an RBI Grade B officer is
Yeah.
very uncertain thing. You never know.
Again, seniority matters, so it is better if you join as early as possible. So yeah.
So, being an UPSC aspirant, obviously, it would have been little easier for you to crack this exam because there is a lot of overlap. But overall, what was the easier side of this RBI Grade B officer exam, as in the overlap between RBI Grade B and UPSC, and what was the tougher side or the challenges that you faced? No, that you found that no, this is something I need to really study because I have no idea about it.
For me personally, like when it comes to phase one examination, general awareness, I'll first talk about the challenges that I faced. General awareness was one subtopic on which like I faced a lot of, I faced a lot of difficulty. Even like when I gave it in 2019, I could not clear it. I can say confidently that it was because of general awareness. I could not score as much like I could score like with the proper. I actually prepared also, but I my problem is that I cannot remember the factual things so easily, and there was a huge ocean of information which I had to prepare in order to get 70 plus in general awareness. So that was one of the challenges which I had faced in this year's examination. Even though like I found the paper to be a little bit not very factual, I would say. So I used mostly elimination techniques to score in the examination, especially for general awareness. Coming to the plus points or the easy points when compared to UPSC is like I am strong at quantitative ability and logical reasoning. In UPSC, it is just a qualifying paper. You are not actually those marks are not counted for the final clearing cutoff, etc. But in RBI, this helped me to gain a little bit edge, and I told you that my general awareness is weak, so I took that opportunity in the other three sections, to gain a bit of advantage. Yeah, again for uh, phase two was the challenges which I faced were mainly the typing, which I did not. I actually type a lot, but again, in an exam setting, I did not give any examination before where I had to type descriptive answers. And with the keyboards that are available at the centers, it was very hard. I was actually like hitting the keyboard very hard because when I hit a key and it was not actually reflecting on the screen. There are some keys which are very very old and rusty. Yeah, so I was like, every key I did not take I did not bias against any key. I was like hitting hard on every key. I did not care if the sound or anything because everybody was doing that. So did not get any complaints against me, fortunately, in the exam hall. Yeah. So to reach the, even like while selecting the questions between like I could remember two questions. One was on budget and the other was on basal norms. So I don't remember. I was like, okay, for basal norms, to write an answer, you have to be very particular. You have to remember at least the ratios to reach the limit, and the correct names of the ratios, or the regulations. So I was like, okay, let's go with budget. You can actually reach the word limit and also give some proper figures, because budget was like last year budget was very important. It was almost every day. One or the other topic was in papers. So I can say that while choosing the answers also, I was like, okay, people usually I was like, I saw the basal norm. I was like, okay, I know this. But then when I thought about it, if I can write a 600 word, uh, I don't remember the exact word limit. Sorry about that. So when I thought about it, if I can reach the word limit, then the answer in my mind and my gut feeling was no. I'm thankful that I acted on that and choose a different answer rather than sticking to that question. So I think that is when I realized, it is all the questions are equal. One question, if you are attempting one question, it does not mean, if it is too technical, it does not mean that you'll get a good impression with the person who is correcting the paper. The point is that, right, if you are given six questions, they are asking you to choose four. So it's like every question has an equal weightage. And yeah, I think choosing the questions was one of the challenges which I faced and I overcame. Maybe I might have done better in choosing, but again, yeah, I could see some instances where I mindfully chose those questions without acting on the first all the other things, like impression with respect to the invigilator, etc. Sorry, the paper corrector. Yeah, that was the thing. And reaching the word limit, I did not actually reach the word limit for all the questions. uh, I did not see the point of elongating the answers. I saw like I have these 4 or 5 points. I'll just write that, maybe some elongation. Like it does not look good if I just have 100 words also, right? So some elongation, and if I felt that okay, isse zyada I can, if I do it will look like we are doing a globe, so then I stopped there.
It looks like exaggeration then.
Yeah, it's like you're actually telling the person who is correcting that you don't know it, but you're just beating around the bush.
So that's a very valid point. I have consulted. I mean, I've interviewed other people also. They are also of the same view, or that is the fact from them that they were not able to write up to the word limit. They wrote less than what was there in the word. So we will come to phase 1 and phase 2 to discuss that in more detail. But first, I want to concentrate on the interview part. So just to remind our viewers, Rishita has got 72 out of 75 marks in RBI Grade B interview. This was the first year when the interview marks has been increased to 75. Earlier it used to be, I think, 50. So 70 out of 75, right? And I think this might be the highest, as I told you earlier. Though I mean, there is no guarantee for that. Somebody might have got 73 or 74, but 72 is the highest that what we have obtained among our students. So Rishita, 72 out of 75, that is any day. I mean, you will take it, right? I mean, there should not be any qualms regarding why I lost out on the 3 marks. But then, what made it, to get this 72 marks? How was your interview? Can you just explain that so maybe people can get better understanding of how did it go, and what are the reasons maybe then from your interview people can gauge that you got 72 marks?
Yeah, to give us brief summary, my interview was completely, like, mostly 99% of it was profile based, which I wrote it in biodata. Around that, there was only one technical question which one of the panel members asked. It was for around 2 to 3 minutes of discussion on that technical question. All the other questions were around why RBI from civil engineering, and why only CFA level 1, why not the other 2 levels, why did you stop after level 1? And I was a sports person at my college, at IIT Bombay. Uh, Questions were around sports tournaments of IITs, like inter-IIT sports meet and others, and the medals which I have got, and also the sports culture in India, and about the current happenings, like under 20 athletics world championships which were happening at that time. Some discussion around that. Again, the interview ended with the question, what difference will you bring to RBI, etc. Like, these were the questions which I got asked. Mainly, like, the main focus on was highlights were these questions. One of the things I followed was, I knew that there were 3 boards which were taking the interviews, and I made it a point that I should not know which board is which person exactly. I did not look up the photos on Google of different boards. I so that I won't be anxious just before the interview. Just when I got to know, okay, this is the board you're going to which is going to interview you. I felt like, okay, I should not have that bias, and I should not have that pre-information which affects my facial expressions, because, like, even if you don't know your facial expressions, they speak a lot. Even subconsciously, you tend out to give those facial expressions. I think it helped because yeah, it helped actually. I went inside without any. There was some nervousness and fear again. So
basically there were no preconceived notions, right? That
yeah,
if it is a no group in which a chairman is very grilling, then you didn't have any preconceived notions. You were just like,
yeah,
let's see what comes, I'll handle.
yeah. It like, actually, I went into the interview room as like, okay, I just have to go do this head on. Whatever it is like, you have to give your best. Again, if you are thinking about something else, that you're nervous and everything, it will not matter after the interview. It will just reduce your performance in the interview. I was like, okay, let's not think about the result. It is just a conversation. It is just testing your personality, which is already developed over the past 20 to 25 years. There is nothing you can change right now. You just have to show to them that you are this, and you just have a conversation. And I took the interview opportunity as I took it as an opportunity to interact with those people who had like 40 to 50 years of service. And I felt that, okay, this opportunity will not get in the future. Like, this is one opportunity, you use it, you talk to them, like just have a very good experience, be it 10 minutes or 15 minutes, just have a conversation. My aim was, okay, just let's have a conversational interview experience. It should not go like a normal question and answer session.
But overall, was it a grilling interview somewhere, or was it just a plain cordial interview?
I think I would say that it is a mix of both. There were some instances where the chairman mostly took an opportunity. He did not actually leave any opportunity to grill, I would say. Even like when the other panel members were interviewing me, he interrupted in between and he was cross questioning. For example, in the technical question, in one of the risks I mentioned about black swan event, kind of thing, the word just got out of my mouth. Then he interrupted and he asked me, what is the book, that who wrote the book on black swan event? I did not know. I know about this concept from a book which I read, which was not completely on black swan. There was, in the intro, it was like a 4 or 5 line introduction about a black swan event. So I think it was fine. I think after that, I just explained him that from this is where I picked up. And there was a lot of discussion which was going on during lockdown, whether COVID-19 is a black swan event or not. So then he was like, yeah, it's fine. And then he told me the book that was actually written and the author, etc. Yeah, it was a good experience. It was completely conversation, more to the cordial side than the grilling side. And I would say that preparing for all the MBA interviews, it helped me a lot. For at least, luckily, I got a personal interview, like the profile-based interview, which I was actually prepared for completely. Technical, again, for technical interview, it can go to any corner of the world. The syllabus of it, like the questions can be from anywhere. So for at least personal questions, I can say, because it was my life and I was the one who has gone through it. So at some corner, even like I'll know a little bit of what I did, even if I took the decision subconsciously. Yeah, in that sense, I would say like I was lucky to get asked those questions. Yeah, MBA interviews definitely helped. They acted like mock to an RBA interview. I actually took one mock with EduTap also. That one free mock with EduTap, and that is where I understood that I worked at Paytm Payments Bank, and then one of the panel members in the mock interview said that you might get asked about fintech payments, etc., the digital payments, the current developing technology. From technology side, you might get asked some questions. So I think for interview, basically you have to know yourself in and out personally, and also your profile. For example, I did CFA. So CFA, at least I should be able to tell what are the different subjects in that, and at least I should be able to know the definitions of some common things. So I would say that my interview preparation was exhaustive. Even like for boxing, I mentioned that my hobby is boxing. So I actually went and I looked at different committees and who selects the players to Olympics, etc., and different categories of boxing. I am an amateur boxer. I did not go and played a match, but I was like, okay, there is a connection. I might get asked this. So I covered all the lines like that. I actually made a book, one like 400 pages book, in which, okay, civil engineering questions. One of the sections is civil engineering. The other one is regarding my maths optional in UPSC, and again current affairs, and again for CFA and the courses I have done in humanities and social sciences. Actually revised all those things before.
So as you can see, there is a lot of hard work. It's easy to say 70 out of 75, but then at the back end, she has done a lot of research on herself. That is the point, because most of the times we think we know ourselves. We can answer anything, which is asked from us about us. But then there is a catch. There are a lot of linking things. Suppose you are a tennis enthusiast, then they can ask you that who won the recent Wimbledon, or how do you see the tennis players of today as compared to others. So when you have genuine interest in something, if you have studied something, if you pursued something, you need to know in and out of that, because that only defines that you are genuinely interested in that thing. Rishita, overall, what was the duration of your interview?
It was around 20 to 25 minutes. Like I wasn't allowed to take a watch inside. So like according to the discussion I had outside. Yeah, 20 to
2025.
25. Not sure
And
exactly how much.
was there any question in the interview to which you said no, that I don't know this answer?
Actually, no. Since for personal questions, if I say that okay, I don't know the answer, it seems very weird, even for ourselves after, and also for the board, it will be like, what is this person doing? And she or he does not know about his life, etc. There was only one technical question which was asked about the risks faced by the bank. So I was actually able to answer that. So essentially, there was no question which I said no, I do not know the answer.
And any dress code you prepared for interview, and what were you personally wearing that day?
Yeah, I wore a sari to the interview. So I think it is very important to, be to show that your dress actually shows the commitment you uh, give, like how much you're committed to that particular interview or anything. And it is also important to be comfortable in the attire you are preferring. So for me personally, it is either Western corporate formals or a sari, because otherwise if I wear anything else, it will show in my face that I am not very confident. It actually happened even during my placements at IIT Bombay. I was like, okay, I should be very comfortable. I have to stay from morning to evening. I wore a different attire, but then I did not feel confident in that attire. It was too comfortable. Yeah. So again, like I changed it, and that strategy worked. And from then, like it happened 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Like from then, I made it a point that let's just meet in the middle ground. I have to be comfortable and feel confident in that attire, and it should also show your commitment to the board, that properly groomed and everything. You cannot just go into an interview. I'm a completely t-shirt and shorts kind of a person, so yeah, you cannot completely go like that. Also, obviously, even if
That's
it is a bit uncomfortable, I think it is it. You should put some effort, to get habituated. And sari is not like very comfortable also. Yeah.
Did you read any
Sad
books?
at point of time and actually wore a sari and not Western formals.
Exactly. And did you read any books for the interview, Rishita? Rishita, I think the connection is weak as of now. Rishita, can you hear me out? Yeah. Rishita, I think, can you hear me out now?
Yeah.
Okay, I think connection broke in between. Well, let's continue.
Yeah.
In any books you read before the interview, because many people I know they read books by RBI governors like No Subbarao, Raghuram Rajan. Did you read any books like that?
I haven't read any. I planned to read, but could not find time between the first term of MBA, and so I was like, let's just prepare the basics because basics are important. So basically, there was a time crunch, so it was essential for me to prioritize. If there is time, I would definitely recommend. I've got all the books. Yeah, but I even like I'll read right now. I am free for at least a month or so.
That's great. Books are our best friends, as they say.
Yeah.
Next, coming on to strategy, we will discuss in brief about phase one and phase two. So in phase one, I think content reasoning, it must not have been a big task for you being an engineer, then also prepared for CAT. I mean, you've cracked IIM Bangalore, so you must have got some good percentile. So content reasoning might have already been good, right? So you might not have practiced anything.
Yeah, I did not practice, like even while with writing CAT and other competitive exams. I found it that even like RBI has 5 options, right? Not 4. So the
Uh,
probability your answer goes wrong is more when compared to other exams where there are 4 options. So I found the paper to be lengthy. So I was like, okay, within a given time frame, I have to grab those questions which are easy to solve, and not, don't take it on your ego that, I can solve this. Like,
That
we know
happens.
that you can solve that given a
Uh,
time. Yeah. I think you just get stuck at one question, and you feel like it always feels like, if I give another minute, I'll be able to solve this. I have
mm,
already wasted 2 minutes on this. I think, yeah, again, it should be, you should train your mind to, make it easy to let go of that particular question.
mm.
Same like stocks. If it is tanking, you have to let go, even if you are a bit at loss. If you feel like it is going to go down further, don't act on your biases.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, act on the facts and not on your bias.
And what about GA? Because in 2019 exam, in which you were not able to clear prelims, you mentioned that no, it was only due to GA that you were not able to clear prelims. So what has been the learning from that year 2019, and how did you cover GA this year in 2021?
Yeah, mostly used elimination technique to, like, I have improved upon how to use elimination techniques, etc. And I have gone through the previous papers a bit to understand what kind of questions that they are going to ask. And for at least the factual questions, I have just prepared very basic questions, like, uh, don't very basic questions. I did not go into the depth, and I did not go on studying many factual questions, because I know that I was weak in that, and there was not much time also to prepare. So I was like, okay, let's just go through the questions, like attempt the questions mainly
Hmm.
that I am confident of, by using mostly elimination, like 70% of it, because there are a lot of questions which can be asked for general awareness, and you will not be able to prepare or touch all the questions before the exam, that you cover all the topics so that you know each and every answer. So that was actually my strategy, and I can say that I'm also lucky this year that from last year, when compared to last year, it is not completely factual. Even for people using elimination techniques, it was a boon, a little bit helpful.
Hmm. Hmm.
The paper was like that this year. Yeah, for completely factual questions, there is no elimination technique that you can use, right? Maybe like long, short, one or two techniques, but again, if it is numbers allotted to this in budget or to this sector, how much is allotted? So depending on the current affairs that you'll be able to estimate that you can obviously choose between 7,000 crores and 50,000 crores for a particular sector. You can eliminate either one, like completely with complete surety. You can eliminate one of these. So that was what I followed for general awareness. Not
Great.
a, I wouldn't recommend completely going this head on to the exam. I
Yeah,
think it is always good to prepare again.
exactly. Yeah. So I think she had given a lot of these exams like CAT, IB. Then she was also telling me that she had given that exam for air traffic controller. All these exams she had given. So maybe by that, no, a sense of intuition develops that might have helped her. But obviously, she would have studied something. But let's move on to the phase two part. So in phase two, answer writing was something new. You've already explained that writing on pen and paper for UPSC and typing it here was a challenge for you. But apart from that, as per you, what are the elements of good writing a good answer? I mean, when you try to frame a good answer, what one shall keep in mind so that the answer that comes out is really good?
Yeah, I think it is very important to write your answer to the point, like what is asked in the question. It is very important to understand what is asked in the question and try to answer in those lines only. And don't fall into the other topics which are remotely related to this just to meet your word limit. From the experience which I have had, I did not I did not reach the word limit for all the questions, but I have managed to score good marks to be able to clear the mains, the phase two. So again, and make sure, even if you are not bolding or doing italics or etc., make sure that whatever, if there are like 4 to 5 different points under one question, make sure that you have like different paragraphs or anything, like it can be anything depending on your writing style, but make sure that the person, to that person who is correcting the paper, that you are writing 4 to 5 different points. Like if you are to glance your paper, it should be clearly understandable that, with 1 minute of glance, it should be clearly understandable that, you are covering these topics under this particular question. So the thing I used was, I used different paragraphs for different points, and I used some, like, if there was no points, if there was no time, I just mentioned because time was a constraint again. Like the main reason I did not expand on that, if I remember for one question I wrote 450 words or something, 100 short, 100 or 150 short of the actual required. I did not expand on that because I thought, okay, it is, if I expand on this, I might get 1 or 2 marks extra. But if I attempt another question in that 2-3 minutes of time, I might get 3 to 4, because it is a completely new question, and you will be able to write 3-4 points, even if not in detail. But if you just write the bullet points, if you don't have time, at least you'll. I thought, like, I understood it that way, expanding on this particular question. And if you don't know the points, there is no point in expanding on already existing points. It will not add value that much when compared to you attempting the other question. My goal was like, okay, attempt all the questions. That was my main goal. Like before, it was only like for 1.5 hours. So okay, just touch all the 4 descriptive questions and you should be fine. And between the exams also, I did not think about, okay, for the very first exam I did not reach the word limit. Like, it's okay, just be calm. I think that is one of the important things which you have to train yourself, like keeping calm whatever the situation may be. And I know it is very easy to say. I found it like, when people told me this couple of years ago, I was like, okay, I know that, but how do I do that? I think, yeah, it comes with practice. The more exams you give, the more mocks you give, and the way you handle yourself. Treat every mock, if you are giving, as your final exam, and be serious about the learnings from them. Yeah, that's it. Like, that is one of the important things. It will help. Don't blame yourself if you get less marks. Like, what am I doing for the past 1 year? I'm doing this, but I'm not able to get any outcome or so. Remember, there are many people who are in the same boat as you. Again, confidence and maintaining calm, being content is one of the very important factors which will easily bring you to the, which will easily make you clear the cutoff, because everybody will be preparing for 1 year or 1.5 years, maybe preparing for the exam, and everybody has knowledge, right? Again, Basel norms, like I said before, but it is important to accept that, okay, you cannot write this answer and get good marks when compared to the other answer. Even this feels attractive to write in that exam. Yeah, being content is important. I think that is the edge you'll get. Like, if you are
And
like that, you'll get an edge over it.
and is it worthwhile to remember some data from reports and schemes which can be written an answer to create that extra impression?
Yeah, again, for given the time limit that I had, I could recall for the budget question which I had answered. I was actually, the numbers were registered in my mind. I did not make an actual attempt to remember the numbers as such, because again, if you try to remember many schemes and many numbers, all things will get mixed up, and you might end up writing different like wrong numbers in the exam. So only if you are sure, I think I would suggest you cite examples of some schemes or write those numbers. But again, like, if you are confident that you know the number correctly, make it a point that you mention that somewhere in your answer. Again, writing so many numbers, like, don't waste so much time on learning numbers. Try to understand what is happening, rather than factual learning. Do this analytical kind of learning. Why is this happening, or why are they doing this? So in that way, even if you don't remember the numbers, you'll be able to answer it based on you can descriptively say that around this much, or even if you don't remember the number, you can just at the last worst case or as a last option, you can say that high amount is more than last year is allotted to this particular sector this year. So there are always different ways to write answers. You just have to, practice more so that you find something. You just don't go blank in your exam. So just going 2-3 minutes blank in your exam is also, apart from 2-3 minutes of wasted time, it will impact your confidence. That thinking flow should be there while writing the exam. If there is a blank in for 2-3 minutes or so, I even, like, for me personally, I felt that the thinking and the writing flow will like stop sometimes in between.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how did you prepare for FM?
For finance and management, one of the core for management part, I have done like what I have gone through the syllabus first. I did not have much time to go through all the reference books, textbooks which were mentioned in the. I think RBI has shared one document with respect to that reference books and all. I did not have time. So for management, when I've gone through the syllabus, it was like all the theories which were mentioned. I remembered that I had done it in my minor degree of humanities and social sciences. Like there was completely one course on that. So I have referred to that particular course notebook only. And again, made some notes because this is a descriptive kind of exam. So if I am asked about a theory or anything, I should be able to elaborate on that. So with respect to the actual words which are in the syllabus and the theories, specific theories which were mentioned, I made a notes. And again, with respect to the finance part also, the same thing I have followed for whole of economics and social issues also. Whatever is there in the syllabus, if there is a particular sentence mentioned, I have prepared a notes, like some notes so that I can reach the word limit, and just went and wrote that.
Basically, for the descriptive part, your strategy was that whatever keywords or sentences are written in the syllabus, try to think the various angles of that. I mean, what questions can come, and try to prepare for those questions.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you were sure that by doing this, you will also cover the objective part.
Yeah, for objective part, I have like taken an additional step of going through again previous year's papers. And even though like I studied the theoretical theory and all, as opposed to the phase one general awareness where mostly I relied on elimination. So here, with knowing the theoretical part and concepts, made the elimination process a little bit easier. So when I have gone through the previous year's papers, there were some theories which were mentioned, which were repetitive. So I understood them as, these are important. So I've prepared a little bit more material on it. I thought, okay, this is the first time descriptive paper is going to come. So if they have repeated these theories in the past 3-4 years of previous papers, so they might come in descriptive also. So elaborated on that particular topics.
Exactly.
For descriptive.
And for a descriptive writing English paper, I think you would not have required any preparation. But still, any order of attempt in the paper, that first précis, essay, and comprehension?
Any order of attempt? No. I've just gone number wise, sequence wise.
Whatever was there. And any strategy with respect to time division among those three questions?
First question, like when I was writing the answer to that question, I found that the information, I chose a question. Okay, like in the middle of the question, I realized, okay, I chose the wrong question, but there is no time to change the question and then right. So that was the first question of the paper. So I was like, okay, I wrote what I could and went to the other two questions and came back to the first question in the last after finishing the other two questions.
Okay. The first question was essay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And anything else you would like to suggest or add, that can help the candidates clear phase 2 exam, because that is the most dreary stage. People are really doubtful about that, though a lot of them get chucked out in phase 1 itself. But still, phase 1, I mean, with respect to preparation, you know what needs to be prepared. Rest, it all depends upon your effort, your aptitude, and your luck. But phase 2 is something.
Yeah, time management.
Yeah,
mainly time management.
Yeah. Phase 2 is something that really tests you. So any advice with respect to how to proceed for phase 2?
Yeah, the first thing is, if you feel, again, evaluate yourself first. Like, what are your shortcomings? Whether you're able to write 600 words or type 600 words in a given, like, there are example 4 questions that you have to write in a certain amount of time. So per question, this was the thing I followed. Per
Hmm.
question, I allotted like this. I divided the time into 4 parts. So if I'm crossing that, that is how I left the questions, even though I did not reach the time limit. So that was like a hard stop for me. So again, like, if you're very good at typing, then I think you can devote more time to gaining knowledge,
Hmm.
learning concepts and learning theory. And
Hmm.
again, if you're knowledgeable, and if you feel like you know many things about that particular concept that was asked in the question, but you are not able to type it out in certain period of time, again, like, it depends, right? For one person it will be this, the other person it will be the other challenge. So
Hmm.
when you're evaluating yourself, you basically you have to accept, right? Okay, this is what I am bad at or lagging at. Wouldn't say bad is a very harsh word. Yeah,
Hmm.
lagging. So I have to work on it, because that preparing for an examination, that is when you will learn more about yourself,
Hmm.
and be open to suggestions for yourself only. Like, we tend to block out certain things, right? Okay, I'll think about this later, or so. Like, you know that you are not very good at something, and you tend to block it out. You don't think about it. It is
Hmm.
very hard to think about yourself being some, you know, you like accepting that you're bad at something. But again, do that. It'll actually be very fruitful after your exam, and you'll feel that you'll actually be able to measure and quantitatively measure it when the marks will be out or so. Again, yeah, concepts. And I would like to say that, because of my strategy, even I was not sure. I thought, okay, I'm just preparing the keywords in the syllabus, it might not be sufficient, etc. I was having this doubt before the exam, but now I felt like, okay, I could have written the answers better, but most of the concepts which came in the exam were from the syllabus.
Hmm.
When RBI is giving you the exact, pinpointed topics that you are going to prepare, I think we should utilize it completely by being comprehensively knowing about that particular topic. So if you don't have time, that, like, similar like me, like I was in this situation where I did not have time. There was only like max to max 10 days. In that, I was completely focused for 5 days before phase 2. Complete I was able to devote only 4 to 5 days completely only for phase 2.
Hmm.
So yeah, go through the syllabus properly. Don't ignore if you don't like the topic. And I think if you don't like the topic, that is the first topic you have to study, because if you like it, you can always write. If you like it, if you like it, so that means that you know about it. Like, most probably it means that. So if you're not liking it, that means you don't have complete knowledge about it. You have to put a lot of effort into understanding the topic. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Rishita, I think you have shared a lot of good insights, and I can feel you are full of energy. So, if I have to conclude, I mean, what makes you get those 72 marks? Obviously, you must have given good answer, because you have a very good profile, which itself shows that you have very good knowledge. Your smile is very beautiful, and I think the way you answer, the confidence and your energy, I think that is something which differentiates you. And that is as per me, it can be the reason for you getting 72 marks. Overall, I would like to say that thank you very much for coming on to our platform and sharing your strategy. It was really nice talking to you, and I've got to myself learn a lot from you, as in how to approach the exam. Any last message that you would like to give? Any motivational message before we close this session?
Yeah, again, like, I would just like to say that, be confident. Again, only the basic things matter. Don't get overwhelmed or anxious because of everything that is happening around you. Especially, like, you are in one phase of one state of mind, the other person might be in the other state of mind. It is not the mistake of the other person, but it will be very difficult to keep yourself content with all this going on. There are many people who are giving the examination. There is a lot of noise which is going on around you. So amidst all that, you have to be content. Very huge task, but to experiment on yourself. How can you make yourself more content? What works and what doesn't? It will take time, but eventually you'll get there. I am also in the process of learning, and some very small things irritate me. I'm also working on that. So there is no point. Think of it like, does it matter? As all of our elders say, does it matter in the coming 2 years, coming 2-3 years, like 5 years? If it does not, there is no need to put your energy into, rather than like completely sitting on the concepts and learning this the academic learning on this part. It is also very important to prepare yourself to for the exam day. How are you going to attempt it? How are you going to keep yourself calm? What, like, prepare for the worst situation that can happen on your exam day, that your computer doesn't work and you get 10 minutes, 15 minutes less time. So prepare yourself for that, and if everything goes smoothly, you'll perform better, right, than you are. And I'm also like, I wish everyone all the very best. And I like, there are many people who are very knowledgeable and have very good personalities, who couldn't clear the examination this year. And I hope you maintain that strength, like, to go ahead and give another attempt and be content all through the next phase of your like in the next attempt. And also thank you, EduTap, for giving me this platform to reach out to the people. Yeah.
Our pleasure, Rishita, and I thank you once again. And your last message was really motivating and insightful. So thank you once again, and have a nice day. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you very much.